It becomes wrong again from the point, as I mentioned, that the celebration of birthdays is of pagan origin. The Prophet Muhammad, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, like Prophet Jesus, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, did not celebrate his birthday. Nor did his followers, his disciples, his immediate companions celebrate his birthday. And the Islamic teaching which defines what is acceptable and what is not acceptable in the form of the Quran, which is pure revelation without any kind of distortions, it has no foundation for the celebration of the birthday of the Prophet. And the Sunnah, or the way of Prophet Muhammad, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, there is nothing in his way which supports that practice. In fact, based on his own statement, such a practice is sinful. The celebration of the birthday of the Prophet is in fact sinful, because Allah has said that the religion was complete in the time of the Prophet Muhammad, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, when Allah said, Al-Yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum, today I have perfected for you, completed for you your religion. And the Prophet Muhammad, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, himself said, Ma taraktu shay'an yuqarribukum ila Allah illa wa amartukum bihi. I have not left aside anything which would bring you closer to Allah, except that I have commanded you to do it. Anything, because when we do any act of this nature, the act of celebration of the Prophet's birthday, this is an act of worship. It's a religious act. It's an act which we believe is pleasing to God. For it to be pleasing to God, it had to have been sanctioned by the Prophet himself, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he also had said, Man ahdatha fi amrina ma laysa minhu fahuwa rad. Whoever brings something new in this affair of ours, of Islam, which is not a part of it, has no foundation in the Quran and the Sunnah, fahuwa rad. It is rejected, unacceptable to Allah. So, from that, we can conclude that Christmas has no place in Islam. It is not allowable for Muslims to celebrate Christmas, to join in those celebrations, to give the greetings of Christmas. And also that those who celebrate the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they are doing themselves harm, because they're doing something which is not pleasing to Allah. It is something which is disliked by Allah. It is an innovation, and Islam is very strict about innovation. This is why if you were to go back 1400 years, back to the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you would find that the general practice that he followed, he and his companions, the same practices followed by Muslims throughout the world. The more closely they follow it, the better off they are. The less they follow it, the worse off they are, both spiritually and materially. So, I didn't want this to be an especially long talk, because the topic is not really that complicated. I just wanted to give you some insights into the origin of Christmas, from a Christian point of view, Christian scholarship, so that for those of you who are Muslims, as this time draws near, if you are invited to such celebrations, or you are asked to give the greetings, that you will be able to give an informed answer as to why you cannot take part in these things, and for those thinking Christians who want to find the truth, the way about which Jesus spoke, then I've also provided some information which is accessible. It's not very complicated. I just went to some encyclopedias, and took from a Catholic dictionary, etc. Just took from these basic sources which are available. We can find out what is the origin of things, to find out whether it in fact is an acceptable practice. Because religion is not something which is man-made, in the sense that human beings are the ones that put it together as they feel like. If it is to be the religion of God, then it must be based on revelation. Everything that is done has its basis, its foundation in revelation. And you will find that truly only in Islam. That whatever is ascribed to Islam, not necessarily ascribed to Muslims now, because you may find Muslims doing all kinds of things. Much of it not related to revelation. But in terms of the religion itself, which has remained pure in the sense that anyone who wants to know what is Islam, they can find out, and you will find that each and every practice, each and every principle has its foundation in revelation. I would like to give you all an opportunity now to express any questions you'd like to raise, on the topic of Christmas or the celebration of the Prophet's birthday, which is called Mawlid and Nabi, or Mawlud it's also called. And the practice of its celebration began in the 11th century, right? 11th century, that is some 400 to 500 years after the time of the Prophet. In Egypt, the dynasty known as the Fatimid dynasty, they're the ones who first began to publicly celebrate it. And we also find another century later the brother-in-law of Salah ad-Din by the name of Al-Malik Muzaffar ad-Din Kokburi, celebrating at Arbala the birthday of the Prophet. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon him. This is described by Ibn Khallikan, historian, and this is the first record amongst what is called Orthodox Muslim practices. This is, as I said, some 500-600 years after the time of the Prophet. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon him. So if you have any questions concerning these matters.
It is not a part of religion, from what I understand. It's not like 5 prayers or Ramadan, or if you don't celebrate it, you're not a Muslim. It is not an innovation. Secondly, what you are quoting about was started by Fatima. It was, from what I understand, it was by some Islamic scholars, the Fatimite, that sect was considered a heretic. And what I have read, it was not started by them, but by some other source. And I don't want to start a debate about this, but I just want to make it very clear that those Muslims who, the better word would be that commemorate or something, there's nothing celebration in that. What is done is you read Quran and in Arabic and the translation, because in most of the world people read Quran but don't understand it, and it is not at all considered as a part of religion to be considered as innovation.
Well, let me beg to differ with my brother on all 3 points. First being that it is not considered a part of the religion.